This is 1360 AM. WNJC, Washington Township, Philadelphia. Philadelphia's Renaissance radio station. Brought to you from Forsyth Broadcasting. Or listen to us at WNJCradio.com.
Okay, everyone, it's time to put on your listening ears, thinking caps, and laughing shoes. It's time for the Doc and Amy Show, with your sweethearts of the airwaves who agree to disagree. Well, sometimes. Take it away, Doc and Amy.
You feel blame?
No.
Feel revenge?
Oh, yeah.
Are you mad?
Uh-huh.
Do you feel like Woods Bob Replenish? Get Fred.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, there we go again. There's our intro by Charles Manson, who is not a friend of the show, but we did use a little mashup done by our good friend, Jeff. And we welcome you to another hour of the Doc and Amy Show. I know it's probably the longest hour of your week, but bear with us. You can call us at 856-227-1360. You'll want to do that. We have an exciting guest today who has not only been a national stand-up comic, but also an author of a book, and we will get back into that, but she has literally been to hell and back, and we'll go into that in just a little bit. So you can...
I didn't know she had met your ex-wife.
You can't come back from that. We can be reached at www.thedocandamyshow.com, where you can email us, get involved in our contests and so forth. All kinds of goodies. You can tweet us, which is at Doc and Amy Show, and you'll find every day or so I put some little tidbits up there for everyone's enjoyment. Get in touch. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you are. Let us know what you want on the radio show, Doc and Amy. I think that pretty much covers it.
So you would listen to them, but you won't listen to me?
Not on
So if I tweet us, will you listen to me? Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, give it a shot.
Well, I'm pretty good. I'm just waiting for the snow to hit again.
Well, you know what? It's winter. I mean, everybody goes completely bonkers about snow, and it is still winter. So I expect it. I'm from Indiana. It's like a thing I saw today. There was an aerial shot, probably from maybe 6-7 stories up. A camera pointing across the street showed a light dusting of snow on this pavement. You could still see the pavement, and it said, worst storm ever in Texas. And the picture below it, where you're going down the highway and there are two 20-foot walls of snow, it says Wednesday in Canada.
Oh, so, my gosh.
It's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah,
I don't think we've
is.
had anything that really resembles winter yet, but that's just me. So John, how you doing? John is with us.
Doing good.
John is last week was fresh back from Florida. He's looking all tanned and fit and happy because I think he went
does not even look tan at all. What are you talking about?
He's a bright shade of blue. He looks like an incandescent bulb. Yes, he looks like a CFL bulb over there. He's glowing. We shut out the lights. We can read by his face. Whatever. I was trying to be complimentary.
You were. That was sweet. You're just lying, and I just don't.
Oh, it's radio. Good God, nobody knows.
I'm going to bust your chops because
again.
You guys were busting my chops on the car on the way here. In the car on the way here.
Yeah, but that was between us. Now we're in public now. So.
Oh, we're in public. Okay, whatever.
Do you have a screwdriver, John? This chair's loose.
Let me get one for you.
Seriously?
I'm going to fall on my. You know what?
Oh my gosh, it is. It looks like it's collapsing under your enormous weight. Why don't you switch out the seat?
Huh?
Why don't you?
I'm
just
afraid to stand
seat?
up. I'll die.
No, you won't. I can take it over for a couple minutes. You can do the 2 people 1 quote while you switch out seats.
Handle my seat.
That is looks like it's teetering there.
Well, the whole thing is like.
Oh my gosh!
It's like a potty chair. What is it?
It's like a potty chair. Like the seat's gonna come off.
Why did I get this chair? All right, well that's fun. So I got if things go bad, I have an ejection seat.
Does it sing to you like Elmo? The Elmo potty seat sings to you.
What happens to your brain when you reproduce? You bear children and everything turns into butterflies and unicorns. I don't understand that. Elmo, seriously?
You don't have an Elmo potty seat?
No, I have the little doll that Touch Myself Elmo. It's a lot of fun.
That's great.
Just pull the string and stand
So
back.
messed up.
I'm just riffing here. I have no idea what's going on right now. What we're going to do in a little bit, we're going to actually meet Marty McGibbon, and I wanted to introduce her ahead of time, which is appropriate.
Yeah.
She is a stand-up comic. She has been all over the place on all the networks and so forth. Been to hell and back, and in a little bit I will do a more flowery introduction for her, but I'm really excited about meeting her. We talked on the phone, and it was just a marvelous time. I mean,
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm
well, you should be
because I haven't talked to her. So, oh please,
John, are you excited?
Of course.
Yes, I woke him up. I'm sorry.
no, that was me.
Okay, well, enough of this foolishness. So if you want to join us, 856-227-1360. That's 1360 if you want to punch the buttons one at a time. And if there are any emergencies, just hang up and dial 911. Now you have today we are going to do another installment of Two People, One Quote. And for those of you who may be just joining us for the first time, Two People, One Quote is where Amy offers up a quote. It's quote or quotation? I guess it's quote.
It could be either.
It's a quotation. It's actually a quotation, I think. If you know, call in and correct me. And then she will give two potential authors for that quote, then submit that to John, who will then try to determine which one is correct. And Amy is up 3 games, I think.
Whatever. it
As
doesn't matter.
of last week, I think she pulled into a decisive, commanding lead in her own game, and we've been playing with our producers and a couple of times with our guests to try to get this ongoing thing, try to get Amy back into the swing of things, and she is pulling away, just famously. So,
thank you so much.
I was looking for an adjective and I couldn't find it.
Put that at the top of my resume.
Yes. So for everyone, stand by. We're going to do Two People, One Quote. Amy, take it away.
Okay, here we go. First quote. Jason Collins, the NBA's first openly gay player, has the top-selling jersey in the league store. Yep, that's great. Finally, a gay man who's not afraid to stand up and say, I have my own clothing line. Was that Conan or Jimmy Kimmel?
Conan.
It was.
Right. Well,
Alrighty
there we
then.
go. John is up to his old tricks. He's pulled
his
up
old
to
tricks.
the lead. He's up 1. Let's see if you can maintain that, John. I'm with you 100%. Let's go.
Well, thanks for that. Okay. This week, President Obama told his supporters that they were doing God's work by helping to promote Obamacare. God said, whoa there, look, I'm flattered, but Obamacare, that's all you, man. Don't involve me in that mess. Was that David Letterman or Jimmy Fallon?
I'm going to say David Letterman.
It was Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, we have a tie game. 1 each.
Tie game.
I love it. Now, what I really love is when the game gets 2 and 2, because we always do 5. That's the pivotal moment of radio for me, right
It
there.
is.
Yes. So
Yes,
let's
okay.
let's hope that.
Oh, you're keeping score?
I am.
Oh, okay.
I always do.
Oh, all right. I didn't know that. Okay.
I just left my other book with your current average at school. So,
Okay, there we go.
sorry.
That's okay.
No, I was making fun of.
Of the kids?
Yeah, I was. Make a little inside joke to the youngest out there. He didn't get it.
Because he leaves everything everywhere. Okay. I saw at the supermarket something called vegan burgers. Really? It's an oxymoron. Unless they're burgers made from vegans. Taste the smug superiority. Was it Craig Ferguson or David Letterman?
Craig Ferguson.
You're right.
Oh,
I had a feeling you're going to get that one.
And John is now at a commanding 2-1 lead. This is exciting.
I wouldn't exactly say that's commanding.
It is in my book.
Okay. Alrighty. There we go. Researchers uncovered the world's oldest cheese, which dates back to 1600 BC. The researchers found the cheese in the center of a Hot Pocket. Was it Seth Meyers or Jimmy Kimmel?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Seth Meyers. Now we're tied.
Nah, that's the
See,
way I
he
like
got
it
exactly
right
what he wanted.
there. I did. Now, see, this is action-packed, scintillating.
Scintillating.
Radio.
I knew you were
radio.
going to say that.
Or titillating. It depends on how much you get into this.
Okay.
It's 2-2. This is the deciding quote.
Here we go. An auction house in Los Angeles put several autographed copies of Mein Kampf up for bid earlier today, starting at $20,000. Be careful, Mel Gibson. It's a trap. Was it Jimmy Fallon or Seth Meyers?
I'm going to say Seth Meyers.
It was.
Oh, and John redeems himself
He
with
did.
a 3-2
There we go.
victory. Thank you, John. Very well played.
Thank you.
Good.
Well, and you know what? On that Mein Kampf issue, I said earlier that signed copies of Mein Kampf went on auction this past week, and the Democratic National Committee actually snapped one of them up because if Hillary gets elected, she'll have to swear in on something. Anyway,
That's really nice.
yes. So there are many news events that we're going to be covering this week. Maybe one or two of them true, but we'll cover that as we can. What we're going to do is get our guest on the line here to speak with her and see what kind of things are going on in her life. And if you have anything going on in your life you'd like to share, please call us 856-227-1360, and we'd be delighted to hear from you, and you can join in this foolishness with us. Now, I'm looking. No, we don't have any. Let me check my calendar here. I always like to keep up on the holidays that are upon us.
The only thing that's coming up is St. Patty's Day.
It is.
Mardi Gras Tuesday. Is that a holiday?
Mardi Gras. That was it. That's what I was. Fat Tuesday. Mardi Gras. And I was going to tie that in because we've got Marty McGibbon as our guest today.
There we go.
It's going to be,
I read your mind.
It's going to be Mardi Gras today.
There we go. Okay. I love it.
So
very creative.
I'm not that you want to interpret that literally as in Fat Marty. I'm not going there. I'm just going to try to get my
trying to be crafty.
I'm going to get my webcam up here and maybe try to get some beads or something.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, show my massive chest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My
Whatever.
It's move day. Whatever.
Oh my gosh, that's really great.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm on the wrong page.
So we have Mardi Gras, which is Tuesday, and then we have St. Patty's Day.
Lent, Orthodox Lent begins.
Lent?
Tomorrow.
Lent?
Lent.
Oh, Lent.
Yes.
Okay.
Where anything could be borrowed. I don't.
What?
I don't. I'm not a church-going fanatic kind of guy. So I just people have to tell me what these things are. Ash Wednesday is on the 5th. No clue. Clean your fireplace. What is that all about? I don't know. Daylight savings time begins the 9th. So next week we will be reminding.
I can't wait.
Yes. Saturday night.
That's awesome.
Sunday morning, I guess, at 2 a.m. or something.
Wow,
like
it's
that.
next week already?
Yes.
I thought it was in a couple weeks. That's awesome. Because I can't stand it gets dark so early.
So we're saving all this daylight. When do we get all these days back?
I don't know.
Can we go back like a couple of years in time and
Probably not.
erase some of these wrinkles or something?
Yeah, I wish.
Well, anyway, so I'm guessing we have our guest on the line. It's Marty McGibbon, and if I can get my notes back, I could be prepared for this. Marty is a delightful individual. We spoke on the phone. It was just an incredibly good time. Now, a little bit about Marty. She has a very colorful past. She, aside from being on the Tonight Show and the major networks and writing a best-selling book called Never Give In to Fear, Marty has been through some things called she calls to hell and back, and for good reason. Some of the things she became entangled in a drug scene. She had a brush with a notorious serial killer, was trafficked to Tokyo, imprisoned by organized crime, brutal beating, and homelessness. Those are some of the cheerful things we're going to be talking about right now. Marty, are you with us?
I'm right here.
Hello
Can you
again.
hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
I'm good. I'm a good laugher. I was already laughing.
Okay, well, good. Well, turn that down and just try to focus on us.
Hell and back. Oh, let's talk to this lady when the blizzard comes in.
Yes, that's right. Well, we're setting the mood is what we're doing.
I think what's cool about me is that I had all this real horrible stuff happen, and then I became a professional. I went back to professional stand-up comedy. So I think that rocks about me.
It does. It speaks to you.
Funny, horrible, back to funny.
Yeah. Well,
not everybody does that, but that's what I'm. That's what I'm all about.
Well, I tried. I did the clubs.
Upside of life.
I did the clubs as an open micer, and that was hell.
in my past, some terrible things.
Oh, yeah.
And but I lived, you know. I'm alive. And
Well, I hope so. If you're sitting here talking to us.
Yeah. You know, you don't have to let things define you. You know, you don't have to let an experience define you, either good or bad.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
You're right. You're not the sum total of your experiences. You are what you can make yourself.
I'm the subtotal of my experiences, Iranian experiences.
I'm submental today, so bear with me.
Yeah,
my
that's true.
gosh.
Actually, I think we are the sum of all our experiences, both good and bad. You know, like what we are today. We are the total of everything we've experienced. But if we like who we are,
you have to be.
It's a good thing. It's like you can never go back in time and take something back and change it. So there's no use regretting. But if you just say, hey, you know what? Everything. This is what a lot of survivors. The mentality that keeps survivors on top and not victims is that you realize, okay, this happened. It doesn't make me a bad person. I've gone on beyond it now, but now I look at it's like you're looking at it as battle scars. It's like, okay, look what I came through. You know, look what I overcame.
Your past can't.
This is part of me, and I love who I am. So I'm not going to waste time regretting or trying to go back in my mind to try to fix things. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm just going forward. It's like, what's next?
Exactly.
And that's the way I am. I just want to think about what's next and have fun.
Well, I totally agree. What I was thinking was that my point was that the past cannot dictate your future. You can do that, and you can learn from everything.
And I did. You know, when for instance, I was trafficked, and I think you said that on the radio. I couldn't hear all of it, but I was trafficked to Japan. So I'm a survivor of human trafficking.
Oh, geez.
And that was a really traumatic, horrible experience. And for a period of time in my life, it actually turned into years. I was so adversely affected by that.
Oh, I can imagine
that it it just had a profoundly negative effect on me, and it changed the way I think about myself. It changed the way I thought about myself, other people in the world. I allowed it to be a negative thing. I had PTSD. I didn't know it at the time, but that was one complication. But I ended up, I was homeless. I mean, I couldn't deal with stuff, and I was homeless and like sleeping under bridges in abandoned houses, and I was doing drugs to try to cope with the terror that I felt and all the shame and everything. But then at a certain point, I was just like, wait a minute, I am so unhappy. I'd like to change this. And I realized that in the present moment, it's really all we have is living right now, you know? And I thought, what can I do to change this? Because I want to be happy. And I just kind of, it was kind of the heathen prayers of a junkie, but I kind of called out, like, God, whoever you are, wherever you are, and I'm not preaching, I'm just saying, like, that's where I was. And it was like, I had this moment of clarity, and it was like, hey, maybe it's the dope, and at the time.
Maybe it's the dope.
I'll
Cheech Chong, where are you?
Get my head straight. And that's kind of what I did. I just started changing the way I think and taking action. I didn't get into rehab, but I took action, like to change my life. And it worked, and then I went back to stand up, and, my life, it really doesn't take that long to turn things around, so I like coming on shows. I like telling people, I'm a speaker now, I'm an inspirational speaker, and my message is, you really have the power. Everyone, we hold the keys. Have you ever run around your house looking for your keys, and it turned out your keys were right there in your pocket? Have you ever done that? I know a lot of us have, right? Where you're like, I can't find my keys.
I've run around the house looking.
Maybe I'm the only one. Okay, but it's like that. It's like we hold the keys to our destiny and our future.
No, my car was repossessed,
and we really can create positive change in our lives and in the lives of others just by being positive.
Yeah, it's not, so much reaching out to try to grasp someone for help to pull you up, but it's reaching out to lift yourself up, and people confuse those two mindsets. It's not an uplifting force; it's pulling yourself up, and that's part of it. I mean, it's
Yeah, right, because we've got to take responsibility for the things that, that's another thing. You got to take responsibility for the things that you can change, the things where you went
Serenity
off.
player,
And
You can't play the
really
victim.
be practical, And then there's also a thing where you just go, okay, I'm going to let go and have fun. So you guys seem like you have a fun show. I was listening to some of your archives.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Well, we're trying to move up and move forward and make it better all the time. And in doing so, we have you here as a guest today. And so no pressure, but what you got? No, we were delighted to have you. A lot of folks, we talk about the show to other folks, and
Hello, I'm losing you a little bit.
I'm sorry, I'm losing it myself. We in talking to other folks, about this upcoming show, they were excited to hear it because I told them a little bit about your story and your book and the things you've been doing in stand up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
very excited to hear.
Now, do you want to hear something about what I'm doing, or do you want to keep?
No,
I'll talk about anything.
I do.
I'm cool. I'm a talker.
She
No
sounds
kidding.
like me.
Well, you got me convinced.
Talk about anything.
Okay, well, Amy has chimed in here, and she, we are definitely interested in the professional side of your life. What kind of stand-up comedy things you're doing, and give us some sample of that.
As a comic, right now I've moved from being a stand-up comic. Well, I'm still a stand-up comic. It's like being in the Marines. Once a stand-up comic,
Yes.
always a stand-up comic. You know
I hear you.
that,
Oh,
right?
absolutely, yes.
But and Amy, I guess you too, right? So you
Oh,
don't know.
no.
I mean, you're
No.
in the Marines. Okay.
No.
Well, it's a permanent thing, I think. But right now,
The scarring is permanent, yes.
My work, I do stand up just a few times a year now for benefits and like fundraisers, and I am working as a humorous, inspirational speaker, which really is kind of stand up. You know what I mean? It's kind of different.
Yeah.
It's just done usually in the morning at conferences, and so it's like an early morning stand up comedy show, and people. It's not in a comedy club, but I'm still being funny. But as far as a comedian, I do. I use my skills as a stand-up comic to raise money for causes. And one of the things I do is a stand-up comedy benefit for recovery. I said I was an addict, right? I mean, I was on drugs and everything. So I do a fundraiser once a year in Indianapolis called Laughaholics. And we raise money. Every penny of what we make on the show goes to our beneficiaries. And every year I pick a beneficiary, a transitional housing facility that helps people coming back from domestic violence, addiction, alcoholism, things like that. And I pick places that provide some access to addiction treatment or mental health services, and that also take people with just like the shirt on their backs, because it's hard to find places like that will still, that will take people who have nothing. So it's been a real joy to do that. I'm going on my 4th year with Laughaholics, and we have a 550-seat theater. And it's an auditorium. It's in an art museum, actually, is where the theater
Really?
is. It's pretty fun. Some of the comedians get a big kick out of that. Oh, art! But that's where we do it. And this past year, we raised over $12,000 for our beneficiaries, and I'm really happy about that. And looking forward to this next one. This next year, I'm going to have. Last year, Kevin McPeak and Dr. Bill Miller, who's actually a doctor. He's an emergency room doctor from Chicago, and. Kevin McPeak was a writer for Will and Grace and Everybody Loves Raymond, and he's out of Detroit. So those two guys were my comics. And this
Everybody's
year
out of Detroit right
Rich
now.
Scheidner, who is a comedy icon, and Rich Aronovich, who is a really good comic. He's from New York and New York City. So we're going to have those two guys coming up this year. So,
Well, that sounds a lot in a few shows down the road. We are going to have Dr. Robert Slay on, and He has done some comedy and written a book. He's been on, what is that, Untold Tales of the ER and all that kind of thing. So there are a lot of doctors out there who, apparently with
I know funny doctors, right?
Yeah, well, with Obamacare on the horizon, they're going to have to find part-time work. So I think they're all going into comedy.
I think comedy is also very intellectual, whether people want to believe it or not.
It is.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, you have to look at things and logically kind of shift the dynamic to find something funny
very
and be able to think
sometimes.
outside the box. So it's not only an art form, but it's intellectual, so it kind of makes sense.
Well, I've written a curriculum on comedy.
It is. I think it comes from you have to have a relentlessly positive attitude, even if you're like a neurotic comic that complains all the time. Inside, there's this optimism. There's this kind of relentlessly optimistic about creating laughter from things that might be dark or might not appear to be. I think a lot of the origins of stand-up, a lot of times if you watch comics, you'll find that the origin of a lot of the material is anger,
or
whining or complaining.
Yes.
But it comes at, they make it funny, and right. I love that because it's like it's like spinning straw into gold. Where you're taking something that's frustrating or annoying and out of it comes all this really, really funny stuff. And I love sarcastic comics too. So
I have 2 hours on my mother-in-law. So
and I think everybody loves Raymond. Now, I never watched that when it was on.
Me neither. But
I'm kind of addicted now, and we watch it on TV Land at night after the kids go to bed. And it's what you said. It's 100% complaints. That's the entire show.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Right. It's like our house.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're writing, comedy, not everybody does this, but I mean, with me, when I was writing comedy, it becoming from a place. When I started out, becoming from a place of like outrage or anger. Like I would try to, come up with stuff like that and be like, you're not really mad, but you're just talking about what's this, what's going on here, but. A lot of people, some of the funniest stuff they have in their act comes from something that was a real fight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like a real argument.
That's the deepest well I draw from.
Isn't it?
Yes, that's the deepest well I draw from, is what pissed me off,
Yeah.
I wrote a whole curriculum on comedy, and soon to be teaching at a theater over by Philly. And there are several elements. I go back into the history of it, back to 450 BC, back Aristophanes, and where did it come? When was it starting to be performed in theater, and when did it become its own entity? All kinds of things, the principles and practice of it, and the psychology of comedy is there are a lot of deep and unexpected meanings and reasons in comedy that people just don't. Understand, how complex it really is. It's not telling a joke. It's not just to set up and the punch, but you have to know, where it comes from and know that, like Langer said, comedy is, putting yourself in a spectator's position. You're outside looking at the world and you are commenting on it and setting up, a power and victim kind of balance. So with all those things that go together, writing good comedy, having good timing and pronunciation, all fall into play.
Yeah, you're right. And then in the performance of comedy, part of it is you're leaving your ego at the door. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's one of the things
that
I really
become
love
a target.
about it. You really need to just let go. And years ago, Jay Leno, and I know people say all kinds of things about Leno, but I knew Leno back in the, when he was working in the clubs, and he was at the top of the clubs at that time. It was like in the 80s. That's when I started doing stand-up. Okay, I'm old. But anyway,
me too.
I remember him telling me one time, he said, Marty, don't make the mistake that a lot of young comics make starting out, is that they don't... He said, if you don't give people enough credit, you really get into, you really cut yourself off. He said, because because a lot of comics don't give the audience enough credit.
Right,
and you've
exactly.
got to know that your audience is just as smart or smarter than you are.
Exactly.
Just as intuitive or
Yeah.
more so than you are, and you've got to always give people enough credit. And that was one of the best pieces of advice
Absolutely.
I ever got, not only in stand-up, but in life.
Yeah, you can't digest a joke for them.
Anytime we underestimate or overestimate anyone, including ourselves, we really fall into a dead end. You know what I mean? And Leno, I mean, like, he fixed my car one time. I mean, like, I mean, he's a great guy.
He's got a lot of
He
experience,
literally
yeah.
got under my old beat-up old La Bamba car and fixed it.
Well,
And you know what I mean? That really is something. I mean, he was living what he was telling me. I mean,
yeah.
you just, we're all, no one's above you, no one's below you. You know what I mean? It's like we relate. And what I love about stand-up is that it really is an equalizer. It's like it really levels the playing field. When you're standing up there in front of an audience,
It's like a mother-in-law.
you have to really be true to who you are and be real and be
Exactly.
there in the moment.
And committed to it, yes.
Because you know what I mean by
Yeah.
that? You have to be yourself.
Yeah.
And it's such a great training ground. Even if a person doesn't want to do stand-up as a career, it's such
Precisely.
a good experience.
Well, honestly, you asked
There are things you learn
if I did
about
stand
life.
up. I have absolutely no interest in getting up on a stage and doing comedy. I'm perfectly fine staying right here in my own little, in the studio.
And I'm fine with it, too, because she's naked.
No, I can't leave my ego at the door. If I went up there and started telling jokes or a funny story and nobody laughed, I couldn't handle that. So I have
Well,
no
you wouldn't like
desire.
it then, because that's part of the process.
No.
Well,
is
you offer-
bombing.
you offer yourself up for
that's
judgment.
the hard
No.
thing about stand-up. That's where it's like a war of attrition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
how many survivors are going to make it? Because when you first start out, it's a terrible thing. But, you're broadcasting, Amy. So, I mean, like, that's a whole different battleground. You know what I mean?
Well, it
That's a
is
whole
hard
different
because-
thing. You're badass all on your own. Can I say badass? I know.
Not anymore.
No, but we don't plan the whole show. We can't plan the whole show. We can't plan an hour and show. We don't script it. We write a couple things. We write a bunch of stuff, and Doc kind of controls the show.
And we wait for the authorities.
Yeah, and we don't sit here and script an entire hour-long show. It would take too much time. So a lot of it is just
Spontaneity.
And,
Yeah, improv. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and that's what's really good because it's in the moment.
Yeah.
Because I think if you plan something out ahead of time, that's another thing about being real. Because you're broadcasting, you're really real.
Well, when I go up on stage, and I'm going to do an hour set, I go up there basically because, one, I have a short attention span and no memory. I go up with just a timeline, from birth to death. And I know, and I share experiences. I mean, I have bits that I've written, obviously. But I don't lock myself into any kind of word-for-word
delivery.
Thank you.
Right.
Because
I
you can't.
like that, like
you
a
can't.
freewheeling style. I mean, I also like that same thing.
Well, George Carlin did the
Because
same
if
thing.
I'm locked in, I have every single nuance and every single syllable memorized.
Yeah.
It's canned, and you've got to work that a lot to make that work.
Oh
and
my
make
God,
it sound like
that's
you're coming.
that's too much work.
Coming off the top of your head. You know what I mean? There's an illusion of making that look fresh. But if you're just plain old fresh, then that's great.
It's an
Not everybody
exchange.
can do that.
Yeah, it's an exchange. I try to keep, I try to somewhat level the playing field so that people think I'm not just, delivering, but I'm exchanging, thought. We're having a discussion without them speaking, in the best case scenario. Carlin, I saw him, and he
I love
scripted everything, every word, every syllable, same. It was all, it was word for word the same every time.
Right.
And I went back. His manager Jerry Hamza called me back, and the back of the theater was blocked off. So he because I was running around doing a lot of things, I was working with the theater. And he says, "You look like you know what you're up to." He says, "I'm gonna," he's got 11 minutes to go, 11 minutes, and he says, "Bring him out. I'm gonna be in the parking lot next door. Bring him to the car." And I said, "Okay." So I just take him out in front of the crowd. So he got done. I had him grab the tail of my suit coat. We shot out the door, and so I'm walking him to his car. We chatted a little bit. So I opened the door. His manager's driving him, to the next gig, and he gets in. And he's sitting there, and I looked at him. I said, "Mr. Carlin," I said, "do you have any words of advice for an aspiring comic?" And he looked me up and down and said, "Yeah, shut the door."
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I learned a lot from George Carlin. Just don't hang around.
Golly. I never met him. I don't know. I knew Bill Hicks, and I knew... I met Sam Kinison one time, which was really cool.
That's probably hard to get over, too.
Yeah, but, Bill Hicks never used a set list.
No,
and,
he didn't.
He would just sort of...
well, in the
just
recordings...
take the stage.
Yeah.
But I think it depends on the comic, but sometimes I was taught by, there's a way to stack your show. I mean, that's some of the lingo that some of the old school comics taught me. They said, you learn how to stack it as you go.
Right.
You learn how to work it because you learn what jokes were the stronger ones and which ones you might put a weaker joke in the middle of two strong ones to prop it up. So you keep your momentum.
You get that vibe. You get that return.
And I heard things like that. But I saw an interview with Louis C.K. I've never met him. I really, really, I like him a lot. But he was saying something that just blew me away. It was in a documentary that I saw called I Am Comic. Have you seen that documentary? It's been out a few years.
I think we might have, actually.
Yeah, we've watched all of when stand-up was stand-up and all
Louis
this.
C.K. was talking about, they asked him how he managed to come up with such a great body of work because he's got like hours of material. And he said that, when I get a joke strong enough, you have the strong jokes at the
you build jokes around
beginning
it,
and end, and you have those weaker ones in the middle. He said, I take all my jokes and I work them until they're strong enough to be an opener. Mm-hmm. And then when they get real strong, I put them to be a closer. Mm-hmm. And then after they've been a closer, I retire that joke.
Right.
And I thought, man, this guy is so cool.
I
never even thought about doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to accumulate. I accumulated enough material. I have about an hour or so, and I was always wanting to work on just getting that show better or keeping that energy better. It didn't occur to me to retire these jokes and then keep on rolling until you had like hours. But of course, anyway, I had a lot of respect for him with that, and it was a real insight into the craft.
Right.
And but I think what I also like about him, and what I think is good, is that he does. It seems as though he's not just doing scripted stuff, like Doc, like what you're talking about, where you kind of have a timeline, you have an idea of the different points.
It's not a monologue.
The points you're going to hit, and then you're just kind of like talking and you're relating. And I think that's kind of something that comedy is evolving into, where it's not so much like set up punch all night long.
Do 3 and out.
People are actually getting out there and talking about what's going on with them, and I really love that.
Well,
I love the telling of stories. And just to tell a story and then just keep adding punchlines to it, or find the funny places in the story. And I've seen a lot more of that come into being over the last 10 years. It seems like there's a lot more story.
Well, that's what I've always done. My delivery is more of a raconteur style, and I get into a theme.
And I love that.
Yeah, I get into a theme, and then I probably have 4 or 5 hours of material out of which I can make a good 10-minute set. No, I have tons of stuff that I've collected since
I got 5 notebooks, and that boils down to 12 minutes.
It's like a PS on a letter. No, but I've done that. I've retired a lot of stuff.
Things change. They change as you go. I think a lot of times, and that's something we all know. In stand-up, when I first started doing stand-up, it was in Austin. Houston at the Comedy Workshop. This was a long time ago. But the first time I went on stage, I killed, man, and I was not expecting it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I killed. And I was so surprised. They were like laughing at the right times and everything. And then the next time I went in, I could hardly wait to get back in there. I was like, oh man, I'm a comic genius, because I got left. And this is where I learned about leaving your ego at the door. Because I thought, I'm so good. I'm going to write another 5 minutes. I'm going down to the comedy club. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to. And I went in there with my other 5 minutes. and I was on, and I bombed.
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
and it was so bad. It was like having that initial high of doing well the first time. Then the second time, they hated me, and I felt like the whole world just really hated me. Like I was afraid to even go home. I stopped at the grocery. I kind of tucking my head, like, oh, excuse me. I mean, I felt really bad. But I went back to the original 5 minutes and did that. And then it was still bombing for a while. There was something about that night, that first night that I was doing, that was clicking. And I think it was the freshness of it. Because then I went on, I was afraid of bombing, and I was trying to do the same stuff over and over again. I got hung up in the words. And then I found out that, hey, you know what? It's not the words, man.
No,
it's not the words. It's who you are.
Yeah, it's
and
the feeling.
what you're bringing.
Yep, the F word.
And the vibe, where you're coming. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of it is just attitude and who you are, and then you can start crafting these really carefully written things. But you got to learn that attitude of just getting up in front of people and be like, "Hey, hi, I like you. If you don't like me, that's cool. We'll just keep going, and we're going to have a good time." Just have an attitude like that and not be worried about your own self-preservation. So I finally was able to get over that initial trauma of bombing and trying to get to where I just. You know what I mean? And I think every comic takes that journey. Some people bomb longer than others. I'm sure I've heard that Jerry Seinfeld bombed for a long time when he started out, and there were different stories that I heard on the road from other comics that made me take heart that it is a process, and.
Well,
did you ever go through that, Doc? Did you ever bomb when you first started out and you thought, "Oh my God"?
I've never really bombed, but I've had
good for you.
I think I know when to leave. Is probably, but I've done my own. Yeah. When I set up my own.
I think it's attitude. I think attitude is a lot of it. So if you go in there with a really good attitude and you're intimate and you're open. The audience feels that.
Well,
with you.
I push the intimacy, but that's what gets me kicked out of most clubs because the husbands and the boyfriends. What we're going to do, we're going to stop and let you take a breath here, and what we're going to do is go to some commercials, and after we do that, we will come back. We'll be talking with Marty McGibbon. We have a quiz for you to take along with us today. So
okay, I'll try.
You write down your answers as we go, and we'll see where both of us fall on this quiz.
Okay. Now, am I supposed to write this down right now, or are we going to commercial?
You'll have to wait for the questions. No cheating. So we're going to have a little short pause here.
I'll be ready. I got my piece of paper.
Okay, well, hang on there. We'll be back after the commercials, and we will take our little quiz. Hey, everybody. This is Doc of the Doc and Amy Show. I just wanted to let you in on a secret of mine. CPS Computers. They've been serving the area's computer needs for over 8 years now, and when it comes to computers, they can help you out too. They have a wide variety of new PCs and laptops to choose from. They do free diagnostics, and they can repair your broken machine for you. That's CPS Computers. They're at 722 Mantua Pike at the Heights Plaza in Woodbury Heights, and they're between the Subway and the Dollar Tree. Visit them or call 856-251-1007. That's 251-1007. And be sure to tell them Doc and Amy sent you. And don't forget about CPS Computers' second location in Cinnaminson at 1204 US 130, suite number 4. They have all the same equipment, same deals, same diagnostics that you need for your computer. Give them a call, 856-829-8300. That's 829-8300. CPS Computers in Cinnaminson. Hey, if you'd like to be a guest on the Doc and Amy Show and exhibit your talent, let us know about www.thedocandamyshow.com right there on the World Wide Web. That's thedocandamyshow.com. If you're an up-and-coming performer, if you have some kind of talent you'd like to showcase on our program, we'd love to have you. Just let us know. www.thedocandamyshow.com. You could be our next star. Okay, we are back at the Doc and Amy Show. You can join this foolishness at 856-227-1360. You can find us on the web, thedocandamyshow.com. You can tweet us at Doc and Amy Show. We are with Marty McGibbon, who is a marvelous stand-up comic, author of the book that we will be getting to here shortly. And she has been sharing lots and lots of insights with us. Are you still there, Marty?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, now I want you to really put your thinking cap on here because Amy has
Okay.
a quiz. She's always beating me to death with these quizzes. So we're going to share the heat here and see how we do on this quiz. Then we're going to get to some little news stories and things like that. So
Okay, you break it up a little bit, so I hope I'm going to be able to hear these questions.
it's we do that on reentry.
Re-entry.
So she's going to get this quiz underway, and we'll see where we stack up. Go ahead.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the questions to you, Doc, and Marty can just jot down which answer she wants. We'll go through her answers later because I can only do one at a time here.
Right.
So,
Okay. Okay.
Here we go. All right. So the quiz today is which character from Shakespeare are you? And Doc, I picked this for you because you love Shakespeare.
I am a very avid Shakespeare.
So-
Which character from who?
Shakespeare.
From Shakespeare.
You clicked out on the... Just tell me the character from what is it? we're talking about?
From William Shakespeare writings. Which character from
From Shakespeare.
Shakespeare,
Okay,
yes.
that's good. Shakespeare,
Yeah.
got it.
Okay. First question. How will you win the love of your life? Will you disguise your sex, kidnap them, kill their lover, get them drunk, or I only love myself?
Well, let's just go back to history here and say get them drunk.
Get them drunk. Okay.
You remember that? No, you probably don't.
Where do you want to go on holiday? Berlin, Paris, the dark recesses of my own mind. Don't care as long as I've got my drink on.
The dark recesses of my own mind. I think I'm setting myself up for King Lear here. We'll
Okay.
see.
Pick a condiment. Don't say anything. Mayonnaise, the blood of my enemies, English mustard, can't decide due to existential crisis, or can gin be used as a condiment?
The blood of my enemies.
Okay. That's boring, but whatever.
No, bleeding your enemies to death is now boring,
All right.
officially.
Why are you sad? You ran out of alcohol. Treachery is afoot in the home. You keep killing people. Or I'm not sad.
I'm not sad.
Okay.
So much for King Lear. I think.
How will you die? How will you die? Liver failure?
Probably sometime in the next 15 minutes, the way it
Okay.
feels. No, go ahead.
Liver failure? It's going to involve a sword. Who cares? Or I'll end it myself.
Well, I'd like to just be about 110 and just explode walking down the street, but
That's not an answer.
Let's go with the sword.
The sword's
Yes.
going to involve a
The
sword.
scimitar.
Pick a Beyonce.
Excuse me?
Okay, you have to choose a Beyonce. Hold on a second. The confused by the human condition Beyonce. The desperately looking for love Beyonce. The subverting patriarchal norms Beyonce. Or the drink until we pass out Beyonce.
I think I'm going to say the drink until we pass out Beyonce.
Okay.
And keep my sword out of the way so I don't fall on it.
Okay. How do you fight your enemies? With my wit? I cleave them with a sword. I moan for ages about them. Or murder them and feel bad.
I would have to say with my wit.
That's a shocker.
Yeah, whatever.
How has this quiz made you feel? Ask my wife. Like I want to stab someone. Dunno. Bit too drunk to say. Or existentially confused.
More like falling on my sword, but I'll go with the existentially confused.
Okay. So you are Beatrice from Much Ado About Nothing.
Oh, I love her.
You're wise, you're funny, you're willing to risk everything, and at times you're genuinely a character to be feared. The audience loves you. Yeah,
That is also true.
realistic.
Okay. Now, Marty, we're going to go
Okay,
through your
I'll
answers.
give you the answers that I wrote down.
Okay.
Okay, so number one, how will you win the love of your life?
I had the one dressed up as the opposite sex.
Okay, let me find this.
Okay.
Hold on a second there. Wait, that might have been where? Why don't I see this? Oh, here it is. Disguise. Okay, I got it. Where do you want to go on holiday?
What is it?
Where do you want to go on holiday?
Oh, I missed that question. Here's what I have written down. The questions. I have dress up as the opposite sex, dark recesses of the mind.
Okay, that's
is that
it.
the holiday?
Yep, that's it. And then a condiment.
Dark recesses of the mind. Okay, number 3, I have blood of my enemies.
Okay.
Number 4, treachery afoot.
Okay.
Number 5, it's going to involve a sword.
Okay, got
Number
it.
6, I picked number 1, the first choice.
Confused by the human condition. Okay.
Yes. And then the next one is to cleave my enemies with a sword.
Okay.
And existentially confused.
Okay, there we go. So you are Hamlet. You are
I
tremendously
thought I knew it was going to be
complex.
either Hamlet or Lady Macbeth.
Yep. Let's see. You're thoughtful, complex, indecisive, impulsive, careless, melancholy, and more all at once. There you go.
Well, there you go. That was so much. That was so much fun. If you'd like to join us and shuffle off your mortal coil, you can. You
That
can.
was a lot of fun.
Yes, you can dial 856-227-1360. Join the thespians in the room with all this foolishness. So thank you, darling, for.
You're welcome.
I think now I'm Beatrice. I have to live. Live with that.
Oh, you're going to live with that all night long.
Well, at least
Like
you're not
Lionel Richie.
Ophelia.
I wanted to be.
You know.
I wanted to be Regan, actually.
You mean like in The Exorcist?
No, like in King Lear. I want to be the underdog daughter. If I got to be a girl,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm slipping in and out of Shakespeare and pop culture.
she finally ends up with her third. So anyway, that was fun. Thank you, darling.
You're welcome.
That's very
Yes, that was fun.
that was very enlightening.
Thank you.
Yes. Whatever. So we have some also some news stories. Let's see what you have concocted over there.
Well, I have, this isn't necessarily news.
Well, that's great.
Well, we'll do a couple little.
I introduced news. What do we got?
Well,
I don't know.
no,
It's a potpourri.
We can do a couple different news stories.
But
So-
I'm kidding you.
Well, right now, one of the big stories is about the Ukraine.
Yes.
And the fact that, if anybody doesn't know, basically what's happening in the Ukraine is that there's parts of Ukraine who want to kind of reunite with Russia, and there's parts that don't.
Right.
So,
Right.
the president got ousted, and now the parliament is kind of taking over to control, and they've appointed a new president. The problem is Putin has sent troops to Crimea, which is a city
peninsula, where the
in
Navy
the
is,
southern
yeah.
part of Ukraine, where half the people want to go back to Russia and half don't. So it's a little bit, it's a big turmoil there. So apparently in 2008, Miss Sarah Palin predicted that Putin would invade Ukraine to take advantage of Barack Obama's weakness in foreign policy.
See, that she did.
So she actually did predict that. However, she might have been right on that account, but I'm calling her out because apparently in 2008, she also predicted that John Kerry was going to be a boogerhead and that Obama would eat her pants after the election was over. And she was wrong on both. Obama has never eaten her pants, and John Kerry is not a boogerhead. So
No, John Kerry is a boogerhead. So she was
she's
half right.
wrong.
She was half right on the second
Yeah,
one.
your face is like all red.
Because
Isn't that funny?
I just realized the Secretary of State's a boogerhead.
So she's wrong. So
Okay.
yeah. So apparently,
Eat her pants. Where did you come? Did she actually say that?
no,
Where did you come up with
none
that?
of my stuff's true.
Eat her
I made it
pants.
up. I made it up.
I've heard of eat my hat, which is a lot less inviting, I suppose, than some pants. But I never. Okay.
No, I just made that up.
That's a good one.
Well, and on the same topic, we all know that Obama spoke with Putin for about 90 minutes the other day about the Ukraine. He made some pretty...
And Putin kind of let him in on where it actually is.
Yeah,
right?
really,
Okay.
exactly. Apparently, Obama made some pretty substantial threats. One of them was, and I quote, "If I knew where Crimea was, you would be Mr. Poopy Face."
Poopy face. Poopy
Yeah,
duty
so-
head. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost stepped on that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's okay.
You should read these
find
to
out
me.
where Crimea
Yeah.
is.
Crimea
So,
River.
I'm kicking
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, Crimea
right.
River. Oh my gosh! But apparently, he realizes that he needs to get more informed about this region. So he did go to help. He went to Twitter to try to get some help to get some information on Crimea, and he created the hashtag It's hashtag where the hell is Crimea.
Yes, that's
So if you see that on Twitter, that's Obama.
yeah,
So
it's his Wheel of
help him
Fortune
out.
foreign policy at work there. Awesome.
So help
Okay.
him out. I'm glad you enjoyed that so much. Jeez.
Well, it's the eat my pants and the poopy duty head. I mean, I think we've moved into an entirely exponentially higher level of radio.
The
here.
sad part is that she thought it was real.
It sounded real.
Yeah, I did. I thought, I did. I
None
was
of it's
trying to
real.
remember, when did Sarah Palin say that?
2008.
Yeah.
She said some crazy things.
Well,
but,
she's actually
she's
everybody
nuts.
thinks that she said she could see Russia from her house. Tina Fey
yeah,
said
Russia
she could
from
say
my
that.
house. And,
Tina Fey actually
some
said
of
that
the
on
other
Saturday Night
stuff
Live.
was pretty
She
crazy,
said
but
it was
yeah,
possible to see
Poopy
Russia
head, I
from
don't
her
know.
house.
I've heard they do that in Parliament, though, in England.
The poopy duty heads.
They call each other out.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It gets
Call each other
into
poopy
fist
hawks
fights
and
over
so
there.
on.
Yeah, they did for
yeah.
sissy British guys. They really mix it up over there.
Yeah, they do. They mix it up.
Poopy duty heads.
Of course, they've been a civilization longer than. I mean, they've been a
They've
civilization
been
longer than we have.
civilized longer than we have.
Stuck with those outfits on the guards and.
Yeah, because as far as for the United States, as far as being civilized, we're at 0 and counting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
very
we're
true.
a younger country, and it's a good thing because some of those older countries get stuck with that. I mean, look at the Fourth Vatican with those Swiss Guard uniforms. Come on.
oh yeah,
You know, oh, please.
okay,
It's
maybe-
like
And then
so
the
1980s.
special forces, those
Being-
guys
being
are
protected
special
by
forces, and it's all
ballerinas, yeah.
striped, multicolored.
could you imagine our SEALs in some get up like that?
Sleeves,
Yeah.
and they say they're really just deadly.
Yeah.
But
And if they-
they
yeah.
gotta wear those outfits. You know what I mean?
If they're not distracted by the run in their leggings, you know.
Yeah, right. We never had to march in wearing red coats or anything like that. We've had more. Luckily, we came on the scene in the relatively new.
Yeah, we just put on some green because it's kind of it stands to reason to blend in with your surroundings if you're being shot at.
Yeah, that's one of the things I want to try. That I have it on my list.
Become a
this
Swiss
year
Guard.
is to parachute. Like
Oh yeah,
jump out of a plane.
that's awesome. That's fun.
And I haven't gotten up the nerve to do it. I was going to try to do it last year. I'm going to try to. I mean, it has nothing to do with the military. I've just changed it. But I mean, I was thinking about paratroopers and people that are in the service.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, friends of mine that I know that have done it. They've done it as part of their training. They've already jumped out of a plane and they survived. But I
Yeah.
mean,
The better
I don't
of
know
them.
if they do it recreationally. I'll have to ask some of my friends that are vets.
Well, I used to get to go out and play with the SEALs and the Fleet Marine Force once in a while, and it is a hoot.
Yeah. So you've done the parachuting?
I've done well. Actually,
Skydiving?
The SEALs are very rough about parachute training.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you earn your parachute on a third attempt. So
Yeah.
no, I'm kidding. I
don't
used to
know.
go
I
on,
mean,
on
like,
halo jumps and things like that.
There's a lot of places you can go now to skydive, and they
absolutely.
just give you this really peripheral training.
Well, they want
And
they want to
sign
strap
a
somebody to
release
your
and
back.
you're
Yeah,
done. But,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
No, thanks.
no, it's I like heights, so it's
you do like heights.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm scared of them.
Well, I'm short. I'll take any
that's
added
part of
altitude I can
my-
get.
I'm breaking through that fear because I've experienced some really scary stuff, but I like to test the limits of my irrational fears,
Right.
and say, okay.
Right.
And I've done a little bit of that with the heights. I've done some things with the spiders. I'm afraid of spiders, and I did a couple of things to try to to try to break through the spider fear.
Well, there are no spiders
I did
at 5,000 feet.
I mean,
so.
I went to the Spider Pavilion at the Museum of Natural History in
yeah.
Los Angeles, and they had a lot of spiders in there. And some of them were walking around free.
Ugh.
It was very scary for me because I'm real scared of spiders.
I'm scared of clowns.
I used to have a tarantula, and they you get over that. And it's
You get over it?
Yeah. It's like when you pick up.
I haven't
this
touched one yet.
enormous-
I have not yet touched a let one crawl on my hand or anything. You know what I mean? I've been close to them and looked at them, but I haven't let them crawl on me. I'm afraid if I do, I might smash somebody. I may have some friends that have pet tarantulas, but I'm afraid I just might have that instinct where you just, sorry about Barney, your pet tarantula. I smashed him. I just couldn't stand it. Well,
as
I'm
you know-
moving towards.
As you know, I grew up in Indiana, And I grew up in Indiana, and
They don't have tarantulas in Indiana.
Well, I did, but it was imported.
Okay.
But I had to deal with all of my relatives' offspring, and once they start crawling on you, those goofy little babies, then all your fears are out the window.
Yeah.
Because they will bite.
Now, with the tarantula, how long do they live?
Mine made it about a year. And then I figured out the hard way that they don't like the cold.
They don't have that long a lifespan.
Oh, they live for a few years, but not in my house.
Not in your house.
Yes. So
that's a hard lesson to learn.
That was too bad for him. Well, before we go, we're going to close out with a song from a friend of the show. What I wanted to do is have you let everyone know about your book, briefly what it's about and where it can be had.
Yeah, thank you. Well, the book is called Never Give In to Fear, and the subtitle is Laughing All the Way Up from Rock Bottom.
Okay.
And it's widely distributed. It's got a big distributor. The book is go to Amazon. That's the one I push the most because it's in bookstores. You can get it anywhere, the book has won a national award, 2013, the National Indie Excellence Awards. It's a finalist, and it's also been an Amazon bestseller. It's on Kindle, so you can get the ebook, you can get the paperback, and the book is a memoir, and it chronicles the worst years of my life, but they were also maybe the most interesting in some ways,
and the biggest learning experiences as well.
That I went through, but I wrote it as a stand-up comic, and it's kind of a memoir. It's a gritty memoir of addiction, I guess.
Okay.
But obviously there's a happy ending.
Good.
But
we're out of time, though.
Tell the story because
we are. Marty, I'm afraid we're running out of time. We got another show coming on.
I start talking about my book. It's funny though. The book is. It's got
we'll look
really
for it.
Funny parts. So
Never Give In to Fear.
Check it out, and you can get a hold of me on my website, nevergiveintofear.com. We'll get you there. Just type in nevergiveintofear.com.
Excellent.
My phone number's on there. Call me. I answer all my emails.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry to cut you. I'm sorry to cut you off. We got another show coming in. We're gonna sign off. A pleasure to have you, Marty. Marty McGibbon.
Okay, thank you. Thanks
look
a lot.
for her book. We
Bye-bye.
loved it. And we're going to sign off here with Todd Chappelle, and we will see you next week. Thank you.